Okay, so I'm JJ Conway, and tonight we're going to continue our series on surviving coronavirus intact with your finances intact. If you haven't already gone to the class, you can find it on buildingwealthtogether.com. It's a free class. I've actually made all the classes on buildingwealthtogether.com free classes. There are a couple that I license from other people, or that I have a royalty agreements with others that I can't just give away. So those ones are not free, okay? So I took them off. That way you wouldn't be like, what? She said these were free. So I just took them down. I said, this is not the time to be selling people stuff. Although I find that when people pay, they're more likely to succeed with the class. But I understand that right now, this is just a tough time for a lot of people. So here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to go out there, take your classes for free, and then if you think that you got value out of it, PayPal me what you think you got value out of it to ministerwiggins@gmail.com. Or you can do Queen of Cash Flow on PayPal, all right? Or if you really want to pay me back for all the awesomeness that I've been giving you, but you don't have any cash right now, or you're worried about the future, I've been there, okay? So here's what you can do. You can forward my videos, my classes, and all that stuff to like 3 or 4 other people, and we'll call it even. You know, this is not my topic tonight, but I'm gonna tell you this quick story. I just signed up to be on the teaching team of somebody whose work I've been following for like 6 years now. And when I first got started, I was saving up for her $18,000 mentoring program. The way I was saving up was by my own classes and by being an affiliate for her work. So I've told thousands of people about her work, and I always just used her free stuff. And then I didn't have the money to buy what I wanted, so I just kept using her free stuff, and I kept being an affiliate for her programs. And I guess, you know, she sent out a thing and said, hey, we're doing this thing. All you got to do is this little step. And I was like, I can do that. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be part of her teaching team. But the thing is, over the years, when I didn't have the money to go into her program, I took the value I could from the lessons, the free lessons that she gave, and I blessed her in return by telling other people about her program, okay? So let's call that a win-win, and now let's get into today's class. All right, I'm JJ Conway. Today's class is called Sock It to Rona with these 5 investments that you can make right now. You know, there are people who are making good money during this crisis. And if you're not one of them, then tonight we're going to talk about what you can do to protect your family and set yourself up to succeed in the next market crash. See, if you are succeeding, I want you to watch this too, because if you have excess funds or if you've got a good income still coming in, at the end, we're going to talk about where to invest them, okay? But for now, the first part of what I'm going to talk about is for people who are where I was 12 years ago when the market crashed. Actually, more like 11 years ago. Wow, it's been that long. You know, in 2009, some of you have heard this story, so I won't dwell on it, but I came home from military deployment. My ex-husband thought he could do younger and better, and he went and decided to sell the house. He threw out my stuff. We went through the process of getting a divorce, and when the dust settled, I was a single military mom with over $845,000 of debt to my name. I didn't know how I was going to get out of that. And even worse, most of the debt came from having Daisy change the whole bunch of rental properties together. So, you know, that's like the big thing in real estate investing. You know, like you pull the equity from one and use it to buy another, and then you refinance that and you pull the equity from that and that and that and then that. And so you got a lot of investors right now who are really stressing because they got all these properties, but they got all those loans. And guess who isn't paying their rent? Because the president and the governor and whoever else has done said, we're not going to evict anybody because we're going to try to help our people who are hurting and out of work. Now, I have no problem with helping people who are hurting and out of work, but let me tell you something. I've already seen where people who have jobs aren't paying their rent. And I'm like, now, wait a second. Now, I know you government employed just like I am. Now, come on. And so I want you guys who are in that situation of not paying your rent or your mortgage to be very, very careful. This is not, again, the topic of my talk today, but since I see so many people on the line, I want to just kind of mention it. All right. These loan forbearance programs, they're not loan forgiveness programs. Okay. When this whole thing is over, they're going to want their money and they're going to want it up front, or it might take a payment plan that bumps your mortgage up high, but that's not going to help you. So we're going to talk later on about if you have a good income still and you have the money to pay your rent and pay your mortgage, we're going to talk about what you should do. All right. But a lot of investors right now are quaking in their boots because they got all these properties with all these debts and all these tenants who know you can't kick them out for a couple of months. Now, I hope that all my tenants pay their rent. All right. But if they don't, you know, I'm not worried about the house in Baltimore. Now, if she don't pay her rent, she will be out of that house when all of this dust settles. Don't get me wrong now. Now, this is not a charity case. This is a business. This is my livelihood. This is my legacy. All right. But if she needs a week or two, you know, or if she needs to stretch her payment out because I own, well, technically I don't own her house, but the company owns her house. Because of that, I can structure her payments and work with her. But if I had her paying, you know, let's just say $500 a month, and she isn't able to do that, and my mortgage is $400 a month, now I'm stressing out trying to figure out where to come up with that money. And multiply that. You know, I've heard some investors bragging about, I got 10 units, I got 100 units, I got $2 million of real estate under my control. And I'm like, okay, but how much do you or your companies or trusts or anything actually own? Because if you don't own it and you're not prepared and you don't have enough retained earnings, you're not getting through this. Okay, I feel like I'm getting into this without actually getting to my beginning part. So I'm going to back up, but I'm going to tell you, this is part of why I recommend that you don't invest with a whole lot of debt. Okay, I really do recommend that you look for debt-free ways to invest in real estate. And that's going to be the next class that we do. Okay, I was going to do the 5D process. We're going to move that, but next week I've been invited to be part of or to record a interview for the Financial Boss Summit that's going to air in a couple weeks. I'm so excited. I get to be on the Financial Boss Summit, y'all. But in order to prepare for that, I'm going to do it first for a close group of my audience. So if you want to be in that group, make sure you go to buildingwealthtogether.com and enroll in the school. It's free to enroll. You don't have to pick a class, but the only way you're going to get access to the sneak preview is if you enroll, because I'm not going to make it public. All right. Okay. So sock it to Rona with these 5 investments you can make right now. All right. You know, everybody says it's easy to know what to do. It's just hard to do it, right? It's like all the advice that we've been given. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, right? Well, it's kind of the same thing. Ignore the market and don't touch your stocks. But how many of us have just gone crazy and sold off everything? So many, and people have come to me bragging about it, y'all. They've been like, oh, I got out before everything crashed, okay? We're going to talk about what to invest in, and we are going to talk about investing in the market. But I want to tell you, there are some things to invest in that aren't the market that are going to pay you dividends. So the first part of this is still for you, even if you don't have money to invest, okay? And so the number one thing that I'm going to recommend you invest in today is going to be your mindset. Now, some of our mindset, rightfully so, comes from our level of preparation. It can come from our level of faith. If you're a person of faith, the degree to which you have seen the Lord provide for you in the past makes a difference in how calm you are right now. You know, there's that scripture that says that, you know, experience brings hope, right? And so your experience matters, your preparation matters. I remember in 2013, this is what motivated me to go from free financial coaching to paid financial coaching. When everything had to tighten down and the government went through what they called sequestration, And they told all of us military, hey, you're about to be furloughed. You're going to have to, we're about to do a furlough of the civilians, and you guys are going to have to work without pay. Anybody remember that? Did anybody else get told that? Now, I know that every agency and every service handled it differently, but our agency cut all of our civilians' pay by 20% and docked their hours accordingly for, like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months. Whatever it was, my job as a branch chief was to sit down with all of my people and make sure that they could weather the storm. And every single one of them looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, well, of course I'm going to be okay. I've got 6 months savings in the bank. I mean, who doesn't? We'll be fine. That was not the story of the people in my church, the people in my neighborhood, the people mostly around me. And that was a turning point for me in my life, because I realized I was doing okay, but I wasn't doing well enough to not worry about you making me work for 6 weeks to a couple months and not getting paid. You know, in the military, you can't just go get out and get another job if your boss doesn't let you. And so I realized that some of our mindset is going to come from our level of preparation or a lack thereof. Okay, but you, no matter how prepared you were for this, you can still set the intention that you are going to make it through this with joy and with peace, and that you are going to come out stronger on the other side. If you have to, write it down on a sticky and put it up where you'll see it every day. I am going to come through this with joy and peace, and I'm going to emerge stronger when it's all over. Whatever affirmation speaks to you, I want you to really set that intention. And that is for the current event, but I also want you to take the time to think about your intention for the next 5 years or the next 10 years. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an awkward point, okay? Here in my notes, I've got to myself, there's a lot of people sitting at home, but tell you, I'm not one of them. In fact, I'm actually working way longer hours, and I'm working way harder because of all the people who are at home or quarantined, or the way that we've structured our work center. Keeping the nation safe, man, and I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. But because I have to work so much harder, it takes time away from business, takes time away from ministry, takes time away from family. So if I'm not intentional, then I can find those things that are important to me slipping away throughout all this. So whether you have a lot of time on your hands and you can watch some personal growth and do some personal planning, or whether you're like me and you are literally flying by the seat of your pants right now, then either way, we must be intentional about what it is we want, how it is we want to come through this, what it is we want to get out of life. I've thought about what I want, and I've written down some things that I want, and I kind of had to juggle them around, because one of the things of one of my visions is I want to be one of the next Ramsey personalities, right? And so I had that on my 5-year list, and I said, oh, wait. I can't do that in 5 years, because that requires me to move to Tennessee, and little man's going to be graduating. Oh, no, we're not messing with little man's graduation, right? But be intentional. What is it you want? If you've got the time, now's an excellent time to do that kind of thinking, that kind of strategic planning for your life. A lot of us don't realize that we fail to run our lives the way we hold other people accountable for not only running theirs, but also running their companies. Imagine if you were You Incorporated. Would you hire you to do the things that need to get done? Would you pay you for a job well done? Wait a second. I'm looking around at my house right now, and it's pretty much of a mess. Now I'm gonna tell you, there are some things that I've decided to be intentional about, and it's okay. I'm not asking you to live up to anybody else's model of perfection. I knew I was gonna be teaching. I knew Tuesday night is Bible study. Wednesday night is Wealth Building Wednesday. Thursday night is the Self-Image Mastery class. This house is not getting clean till Friday. But be intentional. Don't just let things happen. This is not a time to just let life happen, because life does not tend to joy and peace and happiness. If there's any common theme that you guys have seen in my videos, whether they're spiritual videos or whether they're secular videos, wealth building videos, family videos, all the videos, one common thread is that the course of this world pushes us to be dissatisfied with who we are, and it pushes us to be unhappy and discontent. And for the most part, unless it's a spiritual battle, it's to make money off of us, because we will spend any amount of money and we will exert any amount of energy to feel valuable, to feel worthwhile, to feel like we matter. And I'm going to tell you today, you matter. You don't need to eat a whole lot of this and that and the other to make yourself feel like you matter. You don't need to watch this and that. You don't. Okay, there's going to be the pot calling the kettle black. There'll be pot calling the kettle black. You don't need to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning helping everybody else out on Facebook when you know you got to go to work at 7 in the morning, when you really could be helping yourself by going to sleep. How many of us fall into that trap? We do everything for everybody else. And even right now, because what are people saying now? Oh, well, since you've got all this free time now, can you help me with this? Or can you teach me with this? Or can you mentor me with this? Or can you fill in the blank? How many of us are finding that, even though we're supposed to be social distancing? Oh, this is the funny one. I already got family members trying to put out their feelers as to whether or not I got money I can give them. And and I'm just like, look, I'm going to be intentional with this time. And my intentionality is taking care of my family first. Okay, so let's be intentional with yourself, whether you've got a lot of time right now or don't. Either group and everybody in between needs to be intentional with what they want to get out of this time period by the end of the year, 5 years, 10 years, and not just thinking it out, but no kidding, writing it out. And it's funny because I always think I'm going to make this big vision board that's going to be so pretty and stuff, and then I don't have time. So my wall's got a bunch of stickies on it. But they work because I visual every day. I pass by that wall every couple times and I see those things and I read them and I remind myself of what I want to be intentional about. So I want you to do the same. Okay. When I started doing this, the only thing that I regret is that when I first started doing this, I didn't aim high enough, because everything that I wrote down, I achieved, and so will you. All right. So now, along with that, the second investment, and actually, you know what? I did this with the other two. I said it was going to be 5 things, but it's actually 7 things. I need to change the titles of all these before we get to next week. The second thing I'm going to recommend that you invest in right now, in addition to investing in your intention, is to invest in your personal growth. See, everyone wins when you are intentional about a personal growth plan. And if you're anything like I was years ago, you maybe didn't even know that you could invest in a personal growth plan. Like, to me, I thought growth was just something that happens when you read books and you live life, right? But I now know that we can be intentional about personal growth. So, for example, I told you some of the things on my vision board. Well, if I sit down and say, okay, this is what I want in 5 years. This is what I want in 10 years. This is what I want in 20 years, right? If I sit down and do that, I can say, okay, what do I need to do to get from here to there? I need to get better at networking, or I need to be I need to get better at connecting with people. I need to learn how to be less critical. I'll need to learn better how to communicate succinctly. Like, we can all take stock of where we're at and we can chart out a plan. Now, again, some of us don't have a lot of time right now. You know, my folks working in the hospitals, you're probably just hanging on by a thread. You can barely pick you up some takeout and eat it and fall into bed. And I'm not saying that now's the time for you to take a year-long, a next level mentoring program. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Although my empowerment mentoring program is actually pretty good, and you can listen to it anytime. So think about that, right? But to really, no kidding, say, okay, where am I? Where do I want to go? And what's my plan? One of the things that I was very intentional about, that I was very intentional about, was being a good parent. And I'm super, super excited to be a part of Deborah Tillman, you know, America's Super Nanny. I'm super excited to be a part of her first cadre of family parenting specialists, because not only am I implementing the things that I've learned in her life, but I'm adding the value. Y'all know I've been working with kids for a long time, but it's one of those things where I was working with them because I cared. Because I remember what it was like when I grew up and I was trying to give back the way somebody else gave to me, right? But I didn't have any training, and I didn't have any structure, and I didn't have this depth of understanding. And so now I am being intentional. That is one of the things on my personal growth plan, is to complete her training. Now y'all can hold me accountable for it because I told you about it, right? But intentionally developing a personal growth plan. What is it that you want to get better at? Do you have a business and you want to get better at feeling comfortable asking people to pay you? Do you want to have a business, but you know you need to overcome fear? Do you have a family situation and you just find it easier to just kind of ignore things and hope it'll go away, even though you know at your core it doesn't? These are all areas where we can grow. Are you tired of looking in the mirror and seeing yourself looking the way you do? Man, let me see how I want to say that, because that was definitely not on my outline for tonight. But it seems like I always bring weight into everything, because it's amazing to me how many doors open up for you the more fit you are, and not thin, not perfect. But the more it appears that you care about your health, and the more it appears that you are doing the right things for your body, you send out a different energy. And that energy attracts a higher quality of people into your life. It opens up a higher quality of doors into your life. It gives you more opportunities, okay? And so it's all part of the energy. And so, you know, for me, I don't necessarily look in the mirror and not like what I see. My problem is I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, if I'm this size now, how come I thought I was so cute, 30 pounds ago, 60 pounds ago? Yeah, I'm actually pretty stoked now. Like I can eke out a collarbone sometimes. I was seeing my abs the other day. I mean, there's still a fair amount of fat over, but we're making progress, y'all. But the progress comes from being intentional. So the very first investment that I was asking you to make was in setting your intention, investing the time to set your intention. My very second investment that I'm going to ask you to make during this time, again, whether you have a lot of time or a little time, is to intentionally put together a growth plan. Because if you don't have a whole lot of time, just like I don't have a whole lot of time right now, your personal growth plan can be listening to empowerment mentoring recordings on your way to and from work. It could be as simple as, downloading some of these videos. And if you want the audio recordings to these, I'm very happy to provide those to you, because this is funny. I teach a lot of Facebook videos, but I actually don't have time to watch other people's Facebook videos, because I have to watch them on my phone while I'm driving or I'm walking. And then the phone turns around and then it cuts it off, So I'm going to be gracious with you on that, because I'm going to meet you where I am, right? I'm going to ask you to put together a plan. Even if it's 5 minutes a day spent elevating your thinking, that's still a plan when you do it intentional. All right. So we talked about health. And I said it wasn't on my list, but actually I'm looking at my list and it was one of the ones that I added. So remember, I originally titled this 5 ways you can sock it to Rona, right? 5 investments you can make that you can sock it to Rona. But I added health. So health is on there. So I guess the previous conversation, let's just rewind that and play it again. Seriously though, investing in your health is going to be one of the best things that you can do right now. Again, whether you have a lot of time on your hands and you are bored to death, I'm a little bit jealous of some of y'all people who are sitting at home talking about how bored you are. I mean, I know this is why the government pays me the big bucks, so I can go in there and make sure that the planes are flying and the people are safe, and I get paid to do what I do. And sometimes, I tell you, I really probably should have retired from the Air Force before now, but I have had the coolest jobs in the world. And I know when I take the uniform off, I'm not going to have those cool jobs anymore. So I have thoroughly thoroughly enjoyed what I do. And I'm not complaining not one bit about the fact that I'm working, 10 or 12 or however many hours while other people are sitting on Facebook talking about how bored they are. But there's a little bit of part of me that's like, man, I kind of think I might like to be that bored, right? Not really. I'm not a be bored kind of person. But I'm going to tell you something. If you've got that much time where you're bored and the TV's just not doing it for you anymore, now's the time to be intentional and invest in your health. I did a video for the Healing My Sisters conference that talked about walking. Did you know that walking is one of the most effective exercises that anyone can do? Just 30 minutes of walking 5 times a week can reduce the symptoms of diabetes by over 50%, can reduce the symptoms of depression by over 50%, heart disease, all kinds of other diseases go down when you walk. Also, I have found in my life that walking, and others have found this out too, I'm not special on this one. I mean, I'm awesome, but this is something universal, that walking 30 minutes a day reduces the joints and inflammation and also helps you sleep better. And get this, y'all. I used to think that if you had a big meeting the next day that you should skip your walk and sleep in. Well, I found out that walking actually elevates your brain activity, and it's actually smarter and more effective to go get your walk in when you have those big meetings. All right? Still get your sleep though. So I'm going to tell you, invest in your health. See, everybody else is freaking out right now. There's going to be, when it comes to health, there's going to be 2 kinds of people, maybe 3. One is going to be the people that have maintained their health, okay? However they do that. Like, I don't, see, the thing is, I don't know life to really be a stable kind of thing. If you don't have my book, Overcome Inertia, you can get it for free when you subscribe at jjconway.org, right? And you subscribe to my mailing list and you get the book for free. And if you join the Building Wealth Together School, it adds you to the mailing list. And so I don't think it gives you the book. So if you want the book, let me know if you're a member and you didn't get it. But when you subscribe to my website, you get it for free. Well, one of the concepts in there is that we think we're not doing anything and we think we're just staying the way we are. But we're actually not. We're actually degrading. Because in real life, there's no such thing as inertia. See, if I think I'm staying still like this Sharpie, the rest of the world is growing and moving and changing and stuff. And so when I think I'm staying still from the perspective of the world, I'm actually going back. All right. So we have to understand that we may think we're just maintaining, or some of us may just do whatever we can to maintain, and that's cool. But most of us who think we're maintaining, we're actually not. No, I'm not even going to go there. But I'm going to say on the most of the people who are going to come through this, you've got people who are going to have a rude awakening when they try to put their work clothes back on. You've got people who are going to have a rude awakening when they try to climb up the stairs of their building. I personally can already see that I'm going to have to work on muscles because I've got a wood floor and I'm not going to wear heels all over my floor. But when we do our church services on Tuesdays and Sundays, when we're doing them from the house now, when I do my church services, I'm like, whoa, my feet are not used to being in heels because I'm not meeting people every night and I'm not changing into civilian clothes and putting on my heels every night. And it's like, whoa, I'm going to have to rebuild those muscles, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it because my feet are enjoying being comfortable right now. Look, you can't see my feet right now. Seriously though, there's going to be a lot of people who don't realize the impact of not being intentional and not investing in their health. When you don't invest in your health slips away from you unawares. And so I'm going to encourage you to invest in your health, especially those of you who think you don't have time to. I know for me, it's been really difficult to get my walks in just because of the work schedule and the fast pace. You know, we're just the nature of everything going on right now. We're all working extra. And so for me, what I've literally had to do, okay, I'm going to go walk around the building. Okay, I'm going to go walk around the building. Okay, I'm going to go walk around the building. And I'm going to get my 30 minutes in because as soon as I wake up, I'm showered, out the door, come home, eat, teach a class, teach a Bible study, go to bed, wake up, repeat. Okay, but you have to be intentional about your health. You have to invest in your health. And the people who most need to invest in their health are the ones who feel like they don't have the time. The ones who feel like they can't squeeze it in. You've got to, for your mental state, for your physical state. It'll carry you through this. All right, you're like, hey, wait a second, JJ. I thought you were going to talk about investing money, right? I am going to talk about investing money, but I already warned those of you who were at the beginning. We're going to talk about money investments at the end, because there's a lot of other investments you could be making right now that will carry you through this, so that when it's all over, you come out on top. See, people who are not being intentional and investing in their mindset right now, when they come through this, they're going to be embarrassed at how they acted about a lot of things. Some people are already, some of us, you've already seen yourself scrambling over toilet paper or over hand sanitizer. You know, one day I bought some soaps, and you should have seen people looking at me and walking. And when I left my cart, walking past my cart like they wanted to get that, looking and, getting real close to my stuff, and then just kind of, the hand just, it's not already reaching in the cart, but the hand's kind of doing like this, and then you see that, and it's like the realization that it's soap and not hand sanitizer. So some of us have already, and wherever you are, it's okay. But we don't want to come through this and have degraded in who we are. We don't want to come, we want, let me speak it positively. We want to come through this content and joyful and peaceful about our mindset, okay? We want to invest in our personal growth, because when this is over, people are going to be making money. When this is over, there's going to be more jobs to be had. When this is over, there's going to be investment and monetary opportunities. When this is over, there's going to be more opportunities for your children. There's going to be more opportunities at the school. There's going to be more activity. So not only personal growth, but your health. Managing your health and improving your health, and at least not letting your health degrade during this time, is going to help you take advantage of all of that. You sit on the couch and eat a bag of Cheetos every day, then when this dust starts to settle and the economy starts to come up and it's time to restart your business, you're not going to have anything. You're not going to have as much energy as the person who's been investing in themselves. You're not going to have as many opportunities. You're not even going to have the same energy. And I'm going to tell you how I know, because when the market crashed last time, I had already been through the tech boom and the tech bust. And I had already said back in the tech boom, oh, I'm going to set myself up so the next recession, I'll be able to harness that and invest in all this real estate and retire early. Like, that's what I said to myself. But you know what I was doing when the next market crash came? I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was walking in negative energy. And I didn't take advantage of the market when everything began to climb. So we want to invest in those things. The fourth thing that I want to encourage you to invest in is going to be your health. Is going to be your family and or primary love relationships. Now, I don't know if my husband's watching this, but some of us need to know how to treat our man a little better. And some of us need to know how to be more appreciative of things. And I don't really want him to know I'm saying that, so don't you tell him. But I've replayed my behavior over the last 2 years since these car accidents, 2.5, 3 years. Oh, it's almost 3 years. Yeah, next month will be 3 years. I've been replaying my behavior, and I'm like, wow, I have not really been a good wife. He's been a very patient man. I mean, I'm cute though, and I got a lot of potential, but some of us can really learn to do a lot better. And I got real convicted with this, because y'all know I love these personality assessment certifications. So I can offer you MBTI, I can offer you DISC, FIRO-B, we can do True Colors, Strengths Finders, all these different things. I've even got a spiritual gifts inventory, y'all. You want to learn about yourself? I can help you learn about yourself, right? Well, when I did my MBTI certification, I discovered that people like me are generally bad with names. Oh, that made me feel better, right? And then I discovered that people like my husband are very good with surface level stuff, and they're very good with surface level details. Now, let me explain that, because some of you think that's a contradiction, okay? My husband, like many men, I would imagine, given by all the complaints online about men and women, husbands and wives, doesn't like to talk about a whole lot of deep stuff. Y'all know me. I'll talk about deep stuff all the time. Okay? I'll stir the pot. I'll throw the grenade out there on Facebook, and I will sit back and watch what you say. I love it when people get to discussing. We won't call it arguing. We'll call it discussing. Well, I love Facebook discussions. I love just seeing what people think. I love getting that insight into who they are, right? Not every personality has that. And when I discovered that my husband's personality is much more harmonious, pays attention to all these little details, and so they're always, analyzing this and watching that. And I was like, oh my goodness, here I am criticizing the poor man, and this is one of his God-given talents. And then I had to learn how to harness that talent for my greater good. Some of y'all may have heard this story, but my youngest one has that same makeup. We're driving along the road one day, and I'm trying to talk to him because it's just me and him in the car. And he's like, "Mom, please be quiet." And I was like, "Why, honey?" He's like, "Because I'm watching." I was like, "What are you watching?" He's like, "I'm watching the buildings, and I'm watching the trees, and I'm watching the roads." And I was a little irritated. I was like, "Now wait a second. Now I just birthed this boy, and I've been taking care of him all these 4 years. The least he could do is talk to his mama, right?" That's what I was thinking. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. And about a day or two later, we were driving a friend home from work because she had shoulder surgery and couldn't drive, and she lived in our neighborhood. Dropped her off day one, no big deal. Dropped her off day two. Before we even entered the neighborhood, my 4-year-old said, "Here's where we turn to go to Miss So-and-so's house." And I was like, how did he know that? And then he goes, "Here's where we turn to go to Miss So-and-so's. There's her house, Mom." He knew how to do that. Now I'm going to tell you, this gal, not my strength. But we can really tear down our spouses. We can really tear down our children. We can really tear down our parents, our siblings, the people that are supposed to be close to us. We can really tear them down just because they're not wired the same way we are. So I want to encourage everybody who watches this video to invest in your family and in your primary love relationships. Investing in learning how other people thought and how other people process information allowed me to open up my aperture and see that my husband and my son have a very valuable talent. I'll tell you what, I don't ever have to worry about getting lost when I travel with Chris Conway. Not only is he going to know every really good restaurant in town, but once we drive there, he always knows how to find his way back. Like I have never, how many of you have done this? Because he's never done this, but I've done it a million times. This is like even with the days of Google, but especially before the days of Google, you know how the maps, you had to fold them and fold them back together and try to fold them around so you could deal with it in the car while you drive. And I'd be like, "Oh no, I'll find it. I'll just drive up here. I'm sure it's over there." And then like an hour later, you're driving around in circles, right? Chris Conway never had that problem. And when I travel with him, I don't have that problem either. And you know what else I don't have to do? I don't have to waste my mental strength and energy trying to figure it out. I can think my big thoughts, and I can think all my grand deep stuff, and I can think about my business stuff, and I can leave the details to him. But how many of us take the things that are natural, God-given gifts and talents to our family, our husbands and wives especially, to our kids? How many of us take our kids' natural giftings and we get bitter or resentful or angry because we don't realize it's actually a talent and a gifting? Oh, I can't tell because I'm doing this through Zoom. I can't tell who's on Facebook, so I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this before, but I remember in 2nd grade when my son took his first standardized test. His father is incredibly smart. I'm pretty smart myself sometimes in some areas. And so I just knew he was going to be off the charts in math and be off the charts in science. And he was just going to be 99th percentile kid, right? Like I just knew that's what this thing was going to say. And I get the paper And I'm like, there's got to be some mistake here. And I look at it again, and I kind of look it all over like, okay, well, you know, he goes to a really good school. So when are you going to, you know, where are they going to normalize for the fact that this is a school full of smart kids, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. And I was like, no, guess what? Your kid, he's average. He had average marks, average. And this straight A student was livid, like, this cannot be my child. And instantly the Lord spoke, this is your child, and he is my child, and he is fearfully and wonderfully made. And I was so convicted. Like, I thought that parents who forced their kids to be like them were like all the beauty queens and high school football quarterbacks that never got over it, right? Like, I'm going to live vicariously through my kid, you know? Like, I thought that was the kind of parent that tried to push their kid to be like them. But I realized in that moment that I had been trying to push my son to be like me. Now, don't get me wrong. He is an incredibly bright child. However, he is not necessarily your straight A student. He gets A's and B's, and I think he was all A honor roll the whole year of 5th grade. I mean, that was a banner year for us, right? But he's also very sports gifted. He's got a lot of charisma. Like, I work harder at being a good leader. That boy is naturally a leader that attracts people to him, and people love him. And so I had to realize I need to look at where he is, meet him where he is, and look at his giftings. And once I could open my eyes to that, it changed the way I interact with him, which would explain why this weekend he could not stop talking my ear off. And even though all we did was drive out to a restaurant, pick up some to go, because, you know, we're practicing our social distancing, and drive slowly back, making a few stops along the way for when he needed to tell me something, you know, that made his day. How many teenagers you know want to spend a morning with mom driving around doing nothing? I'm not perfect, y'all, but I do have a few mad skills when it comes to parenting. And it all starts by investing in your family and your primary love relationships. Now, speaking of investing in your family, I played around with Zoom so long trying to get all this set up that the food that I'm cooking for my family when they should be visiting just buzzed at me. So please forgive me. I realize this is a professional class, but I done took so long getting set up that beeper is going. I'm going to go turn that off. And if you would put in the comments what you're getting out of this, please, I would mostly appreciate it. All right, I'll be right back. Woo, it's almost 10 o'clock, y'all. And for those of you who are listening to this as a podcast later, make sure you subscribe to buildingwealthtogether.com. Join the classes that'll add you to the list, or jjconway.org, so that you can know when we do these things live, okay? So first thing we want to invest in is going to be investing in setting an intention for how we want to go through this. We're investing in our mindset. Second thing we want to invest in our personal growth, all right? What you're doing by being on this video or listening to the podcast afterward, right? Third thing we want to invest in our health, okay? Fourth thing we want to invest in our family and our primary love relationships. Because again, these are all the things that are going to carry you through this time. They're going to keep investing in these areas. Are going to keep you from getting depressed about the money or your business or anything that's not going the way you want it to go, for those of you who are in that situation. And they are also the things that are going to allow you to take advantage of the opportunities as the economy begins to climb again, okay? All right, the fifth thing that I'm going to ask you to invest in, and this is where we're going to start talking a little bit about business and money, all right? I'm going to ask you to start investing in your savings account. I'm going to ask you to start, if you're having a business that's really having a tough time, but you're able to stay afloat right now, I'm going to ask you to invest in your retained earnings, which is like a savings account, but for businesses, right? It's the same thing. It's just different names, right? Now, if you don't have any money coming in, then of course you're going to want to go into a drawdown plan. And we described that in our podcast 2 weeks ago, how you can get through this when you have no money, okay? You can find that class. It's the Corona. It's the Surviving Corona or Thriving Through Corona, whatever it is. It's something about Corona on buildingwealthtogether.com. Okay. And so you can do that if you don't have anything. But if you have enough, then I want you to invest in your savings account. And so I understand technically, if we're going to do word semantics, investing is not what you do with a savings account. See, savings accounts don't really make you money. But let me tell you what a savings account, what kind of investment a savings account is. A savings account is an investment in hope. A savings account is an investment in peace. There are people who were not worried about the stay-at-home order because they had 12 months of savings in the bank. There were people who were not worried about having to shut down their business because they had 12 months savings in the bank, or they had other investments that they had worked on over the years that throw off enough income even though their primary business was closed. See, there are people who aren't stressed right now. There are actually people who are excited about these times. Now, I won't go so far as to say you should be excited about these times. These are tough times, and this virus can hit any of us. But you're going to see why in step 7, why some of us are going to reap an incredible harvest of financial growth. Now, the things I've already talked to you about will allow you to reap a harvest of personal growth, okay, which can translate into financial growth. But for those of you who have money, your income hasn't been affected, we're going to talk about that, about what you can do. But even you need to invest in a savings. You know, having 60 properties, having 60 rental properties is not the same as having a savings account, because you never know what policies the governor is going to put out. You never know what policies the mayor is going to put out. You never know what policies the president is going to put out. And all of those things could affect how you collect your rents and what you do. You know, investing stuff in the stock market goes up and down and up and down. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I love investing in the stock market. I think it's a wonderful thing to do, but it's not the same as having a savings in an account that doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. And like I said, when you can't make money off of it, it's not an investment. So I understand that. Some of you are like, hey, didn't she just teach the class that said if you can't make money off of it, it's not an investment? And she's telling us invest in a savings account. When you invest in a savings account, you're actually not investing monetary-wise. You're investing peace-wise. You're investing sleep well at night-wise. You're investing I'm not worried about feeding my family-wise. You're investing in, I got to pay $500 for a roll of toilet paper. I got it. We're not going to speak that. Wait a second. I need to speak life, not death. Let's retract that one. But seriously, though, having a savings builds margin into your life. Having a savings is the difference between the red check engine light in your car goes off and you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? And the red check engine light in your car goes off and you're like, oh, minor inconvenience. Now I got to go schedule to get that fixed. Okay? There's a difference there. And by building up our savings, you will reap a harvest of peace. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about savings amounts when we get to step 7 and we talk about actual investing. But for now, just keep in mind, and if you can, start building that savings, okay? Number 6, a very, very wise investment to make right now is going to be your business's strategic plan. And by investing in your strategic plan, I don't mean paying somebody to strategize your business. I don't mean writing the business plan, okay? I mean strategically planning out your business. The same way I asked you in step 1 to really be intentional about where you want to be. Where do you want to be at the end of this year? Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years? You're going to do that same level of strategic planning for your business. Now, I'm not going to go through all of my steps of strategic planning because I covered that last week in how your business can survive the Rona intact, right? And one of the things we talked about is doing some spring cleaning. Cleaning out processes, people, and physical goods that no longer serve you or serve your business. Okay. So get that podcast. It was last week's Wealth Building Wednesday podcast. Get that podcast or go watch the video. You can do both of those at buildingwealthtogether.com. This is time to really strategize. And like for some of us, this is time to elevate, to try something new in our business. Like I ended up trying Zoom today because we've had so many problems with free conference call. Free conference call is an amazing platform. I have been teaching classes and making money teaching classes on free conference call for 6 years now. I love free conference call. I recommend it to all of my coaching clients who are trying to get their businesses going because I like free things. I like things I don't have to pay for. I ultimately ended up paying for more storage on free conference call because I love the flexibility of being able to pre-record my webinars and pre-record my calls, especially with the baby being so sick for so long, you know. But I love free. I had no intention of ever upgrading to Zoom, no matter how much everybody liked it. And personally, I would always get irritated. Like everybody wants to be on Zoom and they want to see you face to face. Like they want to make sure you're paying attention, man. Because if you're not paying attention, you're not going to buy from me, right? And so I'm like, I get that. I ain't knocking your game. I ain't mad at you. I respect the hustle, but I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I don't have time to sit here staring into my phone for an hour while you talk. And if you're watching me for an hour, I thank you because I really do appreciate you. And I'm going to be honest with you. The fact that so many people watch these videos really surprises me because I take the videos, I extract the recordings, and I always think that more people are going to be like me. Like I always think that more people are going to actually listen to the MP3s than watch the MP4s. But time and time again, y'all have proven me wrong. Y'all like videos, and so I'm going to give you what you like, all right? But this is time to really get strategic, and it may be time to push you into elevating. And that's how I felt about the Zoom. I feel like I have elevated my business a little bit, and we're going to get better at it, all right? We're going to get a lot better at it as time goes on. So just bear with me. Send me your feedback. I would appreciate that. But this is time to strategize. And again, if you would like some tips on that, go get last week's podcast or go to the Rona class on buildingwealthtogether.com and you can watch the video, all right? And now finally, we're going to talk about investing in the market, okay? Now, before I talk about investing in the market, I want to acknowledge with all humility and empathy that there are people out there who really are broke. You lost your job, your business shut down. You don't know how you're going to pay your bills. You don't know how you're going to feed your family. You don't know what you're going to do. Now, if you're in that situation today, I can sit down with you and help create a financial plan, all right? But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still working. I'm in the government. I'm working even more than I was before all this happened. My ability to sit down with you is going to be limited. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. I'm going to ask you to commit to debt-free living before you sit down and book an appointment with me. I'm going to ask you to take the class on Building Wealth Together called 3 Easy Ways to Start Winning with Money, all right? I'm going to ask you to come up with the budget and look at how you can cut and what you can't cut, okay? And then I'm going to ask you to book some time with me, and I'm going to help you get through this, okay? If you're flat broke, I'm going to help you get through this, but I'm going to need you to put forth the effort. All right. It's going to be a win-win for both of us. Now, for those of you who are broke and you don't have the technology or anything to go take the classes, which I think everybody can, but just in case, you focus on your 4 walls. You focus on your house. You focus on your transportation. You make sure your utilities are paid, okay? You make sure you have food for your family to eat, all right? You know, you make sure you have basic clothing so that you can go to work and you don't get in trouble, okay? But we don't necessarily need to spend a whole lot of money on that right now with social distancing, right? So make sure you got a roof over your head and that your lights are on and that your heat is on, and make sure that you have food to feed your children. I'm not talking about filet mignon, but you know, you can do a lot with some flour and some eggs and some salt. Ask me how I know. I remember when I had such little money that I was basically making my own pasta and my own Pop-Tarts and my own this and my own that out of a bag of flour and some eggs. All right. I remember the week when all I had in the house to eat to last me till payday was a thing of Quaker Oats. Man, I tell you what, I didn't eat oatmeal again until I got pregnant with little man. That was like 8-9 years later. And the only reason I ate oatmeal is because it's good for milk production. But I tell you what, I hated every minute of it because I remember the day when for 5 or 6 days, it was either whatever freebies I could get or that thing of oatmeal. And I used up that thing of oatmeal and I praised God when my paycheck came. But I tell you what, you got to do what you got to do. But if you will commit to debt-free living, you will get through this. All right. So now for those of you who can pay your bills and you got a little bit extra, then the first thing I'm going to recommend you do is that you do your savings like we talked about earlier, okay? You got to focus on your 4 walls and you got to build up some savings, okay? And so normally I would be like, hey, pay off, be very aggressive about paying down your debt, okay? But if you can pay your bills and you've got extra, the very first thing I'm going to want you to do is work on that 3 to 6 month savings, okay? I do still want you to pay down debt, but the thing is we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what resources are going to dry up in your community. We don't know how long your industry is going to last. Like maybe you're still getting paid now, but you don't know what's going to come down the pike 3 or 4 months from now. So I want you to be prepared. And the way we get prepared is by having a savings that'll cover 3 to 6 months of our basic expenses. And then I want you to attack debt, okay? Now I'm telling you, this coronavirus pandemic, some people believe it was sent by the devil. Some people believe it was sent by the government. No matter what you believe, the bottom line is there are going to be a lot of people who emerge out of this so far in debt that it is going to take them a generation or 2 to get out. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. All right? We want to save up. We want to attack debt. We don't want to live in fear. We want to live in power and love and of a sound mind. And part of having a sound mind is realizing that had we structured our lives a little better up till now, then we wouldn't have the fears or the concerns that many of us are struggling with right now. Okay? I'm telling you, there are people out there who are not worried about this. There are people who are out there who are not worried about their income. There are people out there who are not worried about their jobs. There are people out there who not only are not worried about their investments, but they are expecting to profit big from investing in the market and investing in the real estate that's about to come up. I've got to do a juice with JJ. One of my friends posted about how the car dealers are already calling people offering really bottom dollar for their cars because they know people are freaking out and they need money. And so don't just think that everybody that comes to you and says, oh, I want to help is really trying to help. Oh, they're trying to help you, all right, but they're more importantly trying to help themselves to your values, your valuable items and your assets so that they can profit. Now, I don't have a problem with profit. I believe in the win-win-win, right? I'm all about the win-win-win. I win with a little profit. You win with some help. Somebody else wins with however else the transaction goes. I love that. There's no reason somebody who helps you shouldn't be compensated for their time and their energy and being away from their family to help you, right? That's totally different from calling up poor people who are freaking out about they don't have money for this and offering them $500 on a car that they should be being paid $5,000 for. Okay, if somebody comes and approaches you like that, make sure you look up what your car's worth or look up what your family's furniture is worth or look up what your jewelry is actually worth. Do the research so you don't get taken advantage of. Right? That's not where I was going today, but I think somebody needs to hear that. All right. So for those of you, so we talked about people who really don't have right now. We talked about people who are really hurting. And again, I'm not trying to be glib about people who are hurting, but I did a whole class on that, and you can go get that class, and it gives you more details. Okay. So now we're going to talk about people who have a high net worth. You've got a high net worth, you've got a high income, you've got 12 or so months of savings. If you have a high income and you don't have 12 months of savings, I want to encourage you to focus on that right now, okay? Or maybe split the difference, or at least get that 3 to 6 months. But I really want you to focus on savings and investment, okay? So if you have a high net worth or you have 12 months of savings, if you don't have a high net worth, but you have 12 months of savings and you have extra money, I want to encourage you to invest, invest, invest. You know what I didn't put on this list? I didn't put invest in your community. And I'm going to have to think about that, because as soon as it came to my mind, you should put invest in your community. The next thing that really quickly came to my mind is, but if all the people who have money bail out the people who don't have money, the people who don't have money right now are never going to learn their lesson. So I'm going to have to pray about that a little bit, okay? Because I don't want you to just get handouts and come through this. Remember, my LLC is called Hand Ups, Not Handouts, all right? And so it's all about lifting you up, not just throwing money at the problem, because throwing money at the problem doesn't change the behavior. But if you change your behavior, those of you who are struggling right now, if you change your behavior, then 10 years from now, when the next market crashes, you are going to be okay. All right? So let me get back to the high net worth people. I want you to invest. Say, oh, but the market's doing so horrible. The market is having a sale, y'all. Get yourself into some good mutual funds. Get yourself into some good real estate options. The real estate options are out there. Now, I'm going to try to chart out for you guys exactly why you should invest in the market, even though it's been crashing. It's not crashing. I shouldn't say the word crash. It's been correcting. All right, let's say it that way. All right, here's a drawing of a value of a stock. You started off pretty good, then it went down, and then it started to climb back up, okay? So for the purposes of my example here, let's say each share of this thing starts off at $1 a share, and the market's up to 1,000, okay? So month one, you buy into it, and your $100 a month, you're going to put in $100 a month, and you're going to get 100 shares. Okay, I hope you guys can see that okay. All right. Month two, the market has gone down, and now it's only at 90%, or time period two, okay? The market's got down, and it's only 90% of its value, and you think, oh man, the market's gone down. But if you put your $100 in, the market's gone down. So what that means is you actually got 110 shares. Now, your 110 shares is still only worth $100 at this time, but you got 110 shares, okay? You got 110 shares, all right? So then month three, it's dropped even more. Now the market's at 75% of where it was when we started this whole process. Your $100 goes into that stock. For your $100, because the value of the stock has gone down, you can actually buy more shares. So at 75% of the value, now you're getting 133 shares. I should write this on here. Money and shares. Okay, let me do that. Okay, 133 shares. All right. So now month four, the market is down to 50% of its value. If you were to have put your $100 in, you would have gotten 200 shares. All right. You would have gotten 200 shares. All right. You didn't put your money. You said, oh, that's it. I'm out. It's 50%. I'm out. I'm pulling my money out. Right. And so you put, now let's just go ahead and say, you did. Month four, you went ahead and got it. You realized you were down. We'll just make the numbers even. So you pulled out. You put in, over those 4 months, you put in $400. You now have 543 shares. And when you take it all out, you've only got 271. So you're like, oh, I lost in the market. I lost all this money. You really only lost because you sold. If you hadn't lost anything, you'd still have 543 shares, right? But let's just say that's what you did. We're going to take your $271 and we're going to do what people who have been coming to me lately do. They're like, oh, I pulled all my money out. I'll put it back in when the market takes back off again. Okay, let me show you why that doesn't work. All right. So month 5, now the market is down to the market is down to 0.25, is down to 25% of where it was, okay? So your $100 that you put in that month, because you were smart enough to have it automatically taken out of your pay, right? Your $100 is now buying 400 shares. Oh, I didn't make my scale big enough. My writing's going to get real cramped here. Month 6, it goes even lower. Now we're only down to 20% of where it was. No. Month 6, my graph it's down to, woo-wee. Month 6 is down to 20%. Month 7, it's down to 10%. So month 6, oh my goodness, month 6 you get 500 shares for your $100. Month 7, you're getting 1,000 shares. So for your $100, because the market has crashed so much, this stock is only worth, instead of being worth $1 a share, it's only worth 10 cents a share. Your $100, and I hope you guys are following me because this is a very powerful concept. Your $100 that at the beginning of the market, when it was up here, your $100 would have bought 100 shares. Now that we're down at the bottom of the market, your $100 buys 1,000 shares. Well, what good is 1,000 shares do me? It's still only worth $100. Yes, it is. But hang with me. I'm going to show you where it matters in just a second. All right. Now we're at the bottom of the market. We're at the bottom of the market. Okay. Now the market's starting to climb. All right. Month 8. It's climbed up to 0.15% of the value. So your $100 gives you 667 shares. Month 9, we're back up to 50%. Oh, this is fun. Remember 50%? 50% was where you put in your 100, and instead of getting 100 shares like in the beginning, you got 200 shares, right? Remember that? All right, so you put in your $100, and now you're getting 200 shares. Now, all y'all that pulled your money out when it hit 50% last time, you say, oh, look, the market's back where I left it. I'm going to jump back in. I'm going to put my money back in. My $271, I'm going to put it back in. Let me show you what happens. So let's just so I can keep the math easy and I don't have to keep, calculating out future. Let's just say that's all you do. And both the person who was putting in the $100 a month and the person who stopped and jumped back in stops investing. Okay, so we can just lock it down. All right. The person who was investing and got out. They got $271. They get back in when the market's now 2 for 1. They think, oh, I'm doing all right. Okay. They get in and hey, they're going to end up with, was it 543 shares, just like what they pulled out. Okay. They're going to end up with 543 shares. The person who's been putting in $100 a month, let me add this up real quick, okay? I should have done this better before. Okay. You got 110, I got 100. Oh, no. We stopped there. All right. In that time period, 3,467 shares. Okay? So you, Mr. I'm so smart, I pulled my money out before it went bad. You have 543 shares, okay? The person who kept investing $100 a month now has 3,467 plus the 543 they had just like you did when you pulled out. So they have a total of 4,010 shares, okay? So this one is 4,010 shares. okay, versus 543, because they got out and they went back in. Okay? All right, I don't know if you guys can see the numbers there, okay? Guess what happens when the market goes all the way back up to here? The person with the 543 shares now has $5,430. The person with all those shares now has $40,000. If you, I hope you will share this. You will go subscribe to the class. You will tell your friends they need to watch that. This is why you don't stop investing right now if you can afford to keep investing. Now, if you can't afford it, then you don't afford it, okay? You put pause on the investing. You feed your family. You get through this. But if you've got the money, this isn't time for a I hate Corona party, okay? This is time. Ooh, let me get that on there. This is time to invest, because each of these buys, you're getting more and more shares that when the market turns around, your wealth is going to skyrocket. I'm not worried about 10 years from now. That market's going to go back up. And in fact, if you think back to like 2009, now I heard some people on the news saying the market at its lowest in 2007, 8, 9 was like 6,000. Total, and then I've heard others say 9,000. I honestly need to go do that research. I'm sorry I didn't have time to do that before this class. But either way, when the market climbed up to what, almost $30,000, if you'd have kept investing your little $100 a month, you'd be a multimillionaire today, even with coronavirus. Isn't that amazing? This is what the wealthy know that the poor don't know. And this, my friends, is how you can really sock it to this Rona. You can come out of this and be okay. Yeah, we're going to have a rocky couple of years. We might have a rocky couple of months. It might be a rocky couple of years as the market stabilizes. But trust me on this. If you've got disposable income and you've got 5 or 10 years to go ahead and invest in the market, you will be so glad that you did. All right, this has been a very long class. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had fun teaching it. I hope you can see that. This is one of the favoriteest things I get to do, is show people how they can win with money. All right, we're going to go ahead and close out today. I'm going to try to see if I can get the questions, but I haven't been able to get the Zoom to show me any Facebook questions or any of the email questions, and I'm worried about pulling that up and messing up my screen. So we're just going to go ahead and close out. If you've got a question on this content, go ahead and email me at ministerwiggins@gmail.com. That's my personal email. Doesn't go to any doesn't go to any assistant or anything like that. That's my personal one, and I will help you get through this. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all take care and be blessed.